Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow from TCG, and today I'm going to bring you guys my Vegapunk deck list. So it's been kind of prolonging deck list since my ring light broke out, so it's a little janky right now, but we're going to make it work. So obviously, the main man himself, Vegapunk. He's got activate main once per turn only. You rest a Dawn, you could attach an Egghead character with the cost of 5 or less. Either play it out onto the field or you can stack it into life. It's got to be face up though, so your opponent can see what you're doing. But this deck, the way I've been playing it and the way I've learned from my buddy Kuma, is you basically kind of stall it out and till the point you could pop big bodies on your opponent's side of the board, which you could see in the gameplay videos I have, facing Bonnie and Dragon. So yeah, that's the leader. Going to the deck profile. For my first, I run a 2K for 2 of Flampe, mainly a 2K for me. If I really need to, I could play it out to, grab a life and, draw a card. I do lose a 2K in that instance, but very rarely am I doing that. It's mainly just for counter for me, but in situations where I do need to draw a card off the top of my deck, I could do that ability. But yeah, just a 2 of. Next, we're going to go into the Egghead package, and probably one of the MVPs of the deck. The Nico Robin from OP7. 3 cost. Majority of the time, pretty much all the time, I'm only using this to put it into life with my Vegapunk ability. It's got a trigger for if my leader has the Egghead type, I get to draw 2 cards. So instead of it going to hand, it goes to the trash, but I do get 2 cards in it, which, allows me to try to find my top end since I'm running, a lot of non-Egghead characters. So that's why I love running this at a 4 of, and it always goes into life. I never play it out into the field. Next, for my next 3 cost, I run a 4 of the 3 cost Lilith. So on play, look at the top 5 cards of my deck and look for an Egghead type. It cannot search itself, so if you see Liliths, it's a whiff. But you can grab any other Egghead card, even the event card. So this is a good way to try to find, your Egghead Luffy's or, your Shakas if you can't find any. Or counter, your 2Ks, Edison or Frankie's. So really good. When you're on your 4 Dawn turn, you could play Lilith out, search, and then still tap a Dawn and use, your leader ability to stack an Egghead into life. So really good. You really want to utilize as much Dawn as possible so it doesn't go to waste. But this is like a great 4 Dawn turn with like Lilith. Going on to the next card, I run a 4 of Edison. So this is another 2K in my deck. If I need to trigger it, I can. So again, using leader ability, put him into life, and when I do get, when they do attack into me, I can use his ability to trigger, play them onto the field. Since my leader is Vegapunk, you can only do this with a Vegapunk leader. Then his ability triggers if I'm at 2 life, I get to draw 2 and then trash 2. So this is another way to cycle my hand. If I have too many bricks in hand or if I'm looking for something, this is a way to do it. Also with like the Nico, like I was talking about, except this one I have to trash 2. Whereas the Nico is just a +2. Going on to the next, we have the main Superman himself, Frankie. So this is another 2K in the deck, but I like him a lot more than the Edison as far as he will play himself out and draw. And I mean, I guess Edison could play himself out too, but his ability only triggers when I only have 1 life left. So I would need to have 1 and then Frankie here. Triggers out, he'll play himself. If I have 2 life and I try to trigger out the Frankie, this will just go to trash and I only draw 1 card. Whereas again, if I'm here, I get to play him out on the field, plus 1 card in the hand, and then I get a body. I mean, I guess in the aspect of Edison is probably a little better since I cycle out 2 cards, but I have to trash 2. He's just a +1 in it. So Frankie is what I like to search off of. The Lilith is what I'm looking for something. Or like I said, specifically the Egghead Luffy and the Shaka. So that's it for my 2Ks. Next, I run a 2 of the Egghead Zoro, 5, 6. I really use it for the trigger. If my leader has the Egghead type, I get to rest up of one of my opponent's characters or leaders. Does not matter how much cost I have. I can rest, you know, a 10 cost Dofi, a 8 cost kid. I can rest the leader. So I'm preventing a swing no matter what they got on the field. So I like to play this into life once I realize they have a, you know, like I said, a 10 drop Dofi and they have something else they could swing with. I'm preventing one of the swings to kind of buy me some time. But I run this at a 2 of. Don't really need to run it more than that. At least I haven't had to. So it's a good stall tactic. On to the next Egghead card. I am running a 4 of Shaka. Need to run this at a 4 of. On, or, you know, with the trigger ability out of life, it just plays himself onto the field. You get a 5 cost blocker that's got, you know, 6k attack. They can block an easy swing, you know, if they're just attacking the leader with no Don, just a free block right there. So Shaka is incredible in a lot of matchups. You know, it's just, you can cycle it out with the event card and just continuously bring them back if you need to stall it out and have blockers on the field. I'm always looking for him or Luffy as far as, you know, the Lilith searches or the 1 cost event searches. And again, if I need to, if my opponent is swinging at me, obviously they're going to be swinging, and Shaka plays out, I'm swinging with Shaka onto my opponent's side of the field, because you never know. If you're playing Lucci, the Shaka's not going to last that long, so you might as well get as much out of the Shaka while you can, because again, you want to utilize all your Don. If you don't have like a big body to play, you might as well swing big at the board to try to eliminate it. So I always end up using them to swing out. But yeah, he throws down. And then onto my last Egghead character, we're running the 4 of Egghead Luffy. So this is the best way to remove, at least early game, with the Vegapunk leader. So activate main, you know, you trash this Luffy into the trash, and then you get to pop one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 4 or less if you only have 2 life, and you draw a card. So you clear board, you draw a card, and then again, you can cycle this out with the 1 cost Egghead event that I'll get to in a little bit. But I can also put him into life and he triggers out and still can KO a 4 cost body. So this is great for early game removal. So against Bonnies, you know, could remove their Rouge. You know, you can swing at a Bonnie because they're gonna do a lot of searching with either the Baby 5 or the Bonnie. So you can swing at one with the Luffy. It's a 6k. They're gonna have to give 5k, or yeah, they're gonna have to give like 6k counter to even get out of it. So it's not worth it. And then you could pop the other one. So you could get rid of 2 searchers in one go with this Luffy. So in turn 1, if you're able to, and you go first against Bonnie, this is a turn 1. Play out with the Vegapunk leader right away instead of stacking it in life. That way, when he does search, you can just remove the body right away. So that's it pretty much for the character engine of my Eggheads. I'm going to start into the top end now. So for the top end, I run currently just 3 7-drop Big Moms. We all know what it does. On play, your opponent gets to choose whether they trash a life and they go straight into the trash. They don't get it in the hand, which is a way to just kind of, because again, we're stalling them. You know, I'm not going to swing at them for life. They're only going to play off top deck. So if they're going to choose to trash it, they're still not going to get any kind of advantage in the hand. So I don't mind if they trash it. What I'd really want for them is to give me a life, because then if it's my 8 Don turn, I can play out the Big Mom. They'll give me a life. Then I could still do Vegapunk leader ability and stack another life on top of it. So I could gain 2 life the same turn I play the Big Mom. So again, the advantage is trying to stack my life as much as I can so I could get out the Yamatos and start popping all the big bodies. It gets really freaking crazy with that. But yeah, after that, it's a 8k swing body. So I can attach 1 Don to it, swing for 9, and then they got to give me 3 cards if they want to even get out of 1 swing from the Big Mom. So, you know, it's a lot of pressure at that point. On to the next top end, I run 4 of Katakuri. This is, you know, my 8-drop kid remover. This is the Gecko remover. This gets rid of all the stuff that I just can't deal with, and I just stack it right into the bottom of their life so that they can't get it for the rest of the game until I decide to swing out. So This has saved me a lot. You know, it's gotten rid of the Bonnie's 8-drop kids, which is what they're gonna protect themselves with. The geckos, and it stacks a life. And then again, on my 9 Don turn or 10 Don turn, I can still add a life to myself and, you know, stack it. They're gonna be at 6 life. I'll be at, you know, who knows, maybe at 4, and I could pop a 10k body with the Yamato. So this is great. And then after that, it's another 8k body that, again, 1 Don attach, swing for 9, and that's 3 cards if they even want to block that attack. So this is great because then I can start applying a lot of pressure onto the board and start removing it, because it's a lot easier to remove it than swinging with Shaka for 6 or attaching 1 Don for 7. That's still, you know, 2 cards compared to the 9k swing. So that's pretty much the big mom pirate stuff that I'm running. After that, we are running a 4 of Yamato. This is what removes the big bodies in the deck. You know, we're playing the stall game. I'm not swinging. They're going to be at 5 life, 6 life if I've categorized a couple things into their life. And then mine, I'm stacking as much as I can. If I'm at 9 life, or no, if I'm at 4 and they're at 5 and we have a total of 9 life, and I just started my turn, I can use leader ability to play one of my Eggheads into life, which will now make it a 10. And this is how I start popping, you know, the 10 drop Dofis. You could pop, you know, the 10 drop Shanks if you're facing it. The Zoros in the Bonnie matchup, pop that. You could pop Geckos. It's ridiculous what you can do with this deck and pop. You know, I thought I would never see it happen like that, but yeah. If we are at that time where we are low on life, we could still pop like a 5 cost body, a 6 cost, because I would have 1, get a life, and then use leader ability and get another life on top. So I'm healing twice with Yamato as well. So great pressure, great healing at the same time, since I could heal twice with the Yamato, with the Big Mom. Katakuri as well, if I want to, you know, Katakuri one of my Eggheads into life and then still stack. You know, I have the ability to heal twice a turn once I get to the top end. As far as that's all the characters that I'm running in the deck. We're gonna go to the events, and this is by far one of my favorite events in the deck. The 1 cost counter card, I requires help. So for 1 Don, you can counter out if I have 2 or less life. I can get 3k on a character or a leader for the battle, but I'm mainly using it for the trigger out of life. You can place up to 1 Egghead type character with the cost of 5 or less from my trash onto the field. So this card is what's letting me cycle out, you know, my Shaka and my Luffy. These are the 2 Eggheads that I'm mainly grabbing out of trash. Maybe I'll have to grab a Lilith if I need to do a search, but, you know, mainly these 2, because then this I can play out, cycle it out to pop bodies. So let's say I popped, you know, the Rouge that turn, it goes to trash, and I end up bringing him back. And this time he's got a Rosinante or a Bartolomeo. I can just start popping all these blockers and then apply pressure onto the rest of the board so he can't block it all. So this helps me cycle out the Luffy's or the blockers if I need the Shakas to come back from the grave to, you know, stall out a couple turns. Love this event card. On to the next event. I am running 4 of the 1 cost Egghead Searcher. You know, he possesses the world's most brilliant mind. You know, photo of Kuma. But this is basically like a Lilith, a cheaper Lilith, but I don't get a body on board. 1 cost, look at the top 5 cards, and you could grab an Egghead other than itself. The trigger on this is it just draws 1 card. It's decent. You know, you could kind of cycle off 2 cards. Obviously, you draw from this and then draw for your turn. I haven't made any adjustments to the deck yet, but I would personally cut these 2 and probably add in the Egghead Jinbei. I think it's the 4 cost Jinbei, 4/5. But the trigger on that card is you can add the card to hand and you can bounce a 4 cost character on your opponent's side of the field. So kind of keeping a board control, and you know, you get a counter card back in the hand. So I would recommend cutting this down to 2 and then adding in those 2 Egghead Jinbeis, but For the sake of this, I am running this at a my bad, my screen just went out. I am running this at a 4 of, but I do recommend cutting that down to 2 and running the 2 Jinbei for now, for at least OP7. And finally, my last card of the deck, I am running 3 of Raigo. If you guys saw my match against the Dragon, this was able to remove the 10 cost Rush Luffy for me and basically saved me. Luckily, I had 2 of them because I did use one to remove the 5 cost. But, you know, this is another way of removing the top end of your opponent's board if you cannot pop with Yamato or get rid of it with Katakuri. So you basically have, you know, 11 cards to use for removal as far as like the top end, which mainly is the Raigos. Yamato works for top end if we stalled and were able to stack life correctly, and the Katakuris can get rid of any 8 cost and lower, you know, if I need to. So that's pretty much the gist of the deck. This is the OP7 list. Once OP8 comes out, you know, you're gonna run the new Egghead Nami, which can pop a 5 cost. So this deck is gonna change a bit. I don't know what exactly, but for right now, this is how I've been running it. Again, I just recommend changing out the 2 searchers and playing in 2 Jinbeis. But as for now, this is pretty much how the list is gonna stay for the rest of the set. But yeah, you know, if you guys like the content, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, comment down below what you guys would change in the deck yourselves, what you recommend I change. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.